interview you again. Yes, welcome to another episode of Life After the X. I am Ty Washington, the X-Con expert, and we're here every week to level the playing grounds because it's all about your perspective. We're here on AAU Media. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So please like and share our information. You're more than welcome to invite some people right now as we're here live doing the show. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions that you would like to leave for us, please leave them in the comments section box as well. So this week we are back on to talk about continuation of a topic called prison reform, and I have an amazing guest that's going to kind of challenge and give her story about her life after the X, considering the prison reform resources that they say that are available for us, as well as we're going to also have a tea that I'm sipping on, because honey, it's always about me spilling a tea on something that's a tough topic to tackle, and she's going to give us a tip that will help encourage you during your week. And if again, you are just now coming onto the show, this is Life After the X, and we welcome you to be here. So, Miss LaShawna, welcome to the show.
Hello.
All right. So we have Miss LaShawna Weaver here, and I'm gonna let Miss LaShawna tell you just a little bit about herself and where she's from, and then we're gonna just jump on in here and just tackle some things.
Well, my name is LaShawna. I'm 45 years old. I have been home since 2013. Um, I was raised in Fort Worth. That's where I caught my case at in Fort Worth. And, I come from a spiritual background. Everybody in my family in the ministry, military. But my path ended up in doing something different. So um, I'm a director of housekeeping slash housekeeping manager, same thing, however you want to look at it. And I work in Highland Park area at the hotel. So I run that department, and that's just what I do now.
All right, awesome. Did y'all hear that? She's the director of housekeeping, honey, so she know how to keep some things together. So if you need to get some tips on how to get yourself together in your home, housekeeping know how to do that. So you mentioned that when you caught your charge, it was in the Fort Worth area
Tarrant County.
Tarrant County, and that's a little bit different than the Dallas County area. But Texas as a whole, we have some laws that are just kind of across the board that is usually a little bit challenging on women, more so they're harder on women with certain crimes than they are on men. And so we're going to kind of talk about your charge that you was assessed with, how you came about having that charge, and then we're going to kind of ask some questions about how you felt once everything you went through happened in your life after that experience.
Okay, well, just like most women, it was behind a man. When I caught my charge, I was actually at work. I was not even at home. They know I was at work. They came and got me from work. The charge was injury to a child by omission. My fall partner, who was my boyfriend at the time, um, he is the one that was the main perpetrator of the crime. I didn't get charged with the same thing that he got charged with, basically, because I was not there. But nonetheless, I still went to prison and I had to do time. And when I caught that, I was very depressed because, for one, I had never been in trouble. I was just trying to do what I needed to do to survive, not even thinking that I'm going to work and then at home, all this extra is going on. So when I ended up catching my case, I took a plea because I didn't have a lawyer. I had a corner appointed lawyer that never came to see me. I never saw him. I saw him. The only day I saw him is when I had my court date and when I took my time. That was it. That's the only time. A young white guy. He didn't even know my name. He just knew that he was supposed to represent me that day, and that's what it was going to be. So I took my charge. I took a plea for 18 years. I did 13 and a half on those 18, day for day. So my prison experience was very traumatic. I was very depressed, suicidal at times. I felt like I didn't fit in because really I didn't, because I had no business being there. But nonetheless, God had me there. And while I was there, I started learning things about myself. And eventually I ended up going into the God pod to where I was surrounded by Christian sisters and I started participating in the choir and things like that. So once I started doing that, I started seeing value in myself, because prior to that, I just felt like I was going to die in there. I didn't see that I was going to ever come home. I was seeing people kill themselves and doing all that, and I thought I was just going to be one of them. Sooner or later, that I was just going to say, you know what, this is it, and I'm not doing it no more. But thank God I did not end up that way. And coming out, I came out stronger because I had the word as my background. And a lot of people go into prison, they talk about, hear people talk about, oh, prison religion. But you just don't know, if you really get in there and start seeking the truth and reading your word, God will show you a whole lot and he will prepare you for things. So when I came home, I didn't even know I was coming home. They have Project Rio and all that stuff like that. I didn't ever seen Project Rio. I didn't know what Project Rio did. I got a slip one night telling me that I was going home. And I went home. And then when I went home, I had nowhere to go because parole did not check the address that they were supposed to. So when I was released off that bus, the address was no good. So I had nowhere to go. And so the fear set into me because all you hear is, well, if you're not where you're supposed to be, automatically they're going to revoke you. You're going to go back in. I was like, oh, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to be out here. Then I have to go back for something that I didn't even have no control over. So one thing I will point out, the system has got to do better in preparing us to go home. Men have all these programs for them to get them prepared to come back out into society. Women do not. We don't have those same opportunities. I ended up having to go to the Salvation Army to stand in a line to get a bed every day until I got up into the START program. Then after I became into the START program, then that's when I started working. I saved my money and I eventually was able to get my own place. But coming straight out of prison, being gone 13 and a half years, I'm 45 now. So I caught my charge in 2000, actually went to prison in 2001. I mean, I knew nothing about this new world that I came into and was not prepared for it. I didn't know how to even ride a bus. I didn't know how to use a cell phone. I didn't know how to use none of that. And once I got to my parole officer and she found out what happened, thank God that she was a sister in Christ, because she was like, no, I'm not revoking you. She said, I'm glad that you're here, because me seeing that you're here shows me that you really are sincere about staying on track and getting your life together. So her and Miss Porter at the Salvation Army, they knew each other. And so when she found out that I was the one that was staying there, that's when things started moving in a better direction for me. And I've had 2 parole officers the whole time that I was on parole, and they were both God sent. I never had issues with them. Like I hear a lot of people say, oh, my parole officer hate me, this and that. I didn't have those type of issues. I did what I was supposed to do. Was I perfect all the time? No, I was not. But I kept my job. I held the job down. I was where I was supposed to, and I did what I was supposed to do. So I came off of parole with no incidents, no problems, no none of that. And I got off parole in 2018. And my job entails me to travel sometime. And even while on parole, I was traveling and doing my job. I didn't have any issues. I came home. I received my associate's degree. I'm currently working on my bachelor's degree. So I have made strides and made moves to improve my life since I've been here.
Wow, I tell you, that is an amazing, amazing intro to a life after the exit. That was a whole lot of great things that you shared. We're going to unpack a lot of that because that was a lot of great content. And I'm so amazing that grateful that we had this amazing platform that is a God-fearing platform as well, that we're able to come on here and share the whole truth, and as well talk about how God has been a influence in making those positive strides. Because again, There are going to be some challenges whenever you're experiencing coming home from being incarcerated. But just we're going to start unpacking this whole part you just shared now. So prior to that, you mentioned that you was raised in church, you was with a religious family, and that you had a core foundational background, but you still had some challenging things that you had to learn to get past once you got on the inside. So you spoke when you got there, you went through a lot of challenges with depression and some mental challenges and things with your self-worth. And so you started to build that. Considering what you came from to what you went to, because you went from like traumatic to even more traumatic when you were only just trying to make do in your life. Now, coming from that situation, we're going to talk about how what prison, the system is about. Prison reform is more than just when you come back home.
Right.
Prison reform is about the whole prison system with helping those, even with being represented in the proper way. So you mentioned that prior to that, when you went to court, you never saw your court appointed attorney.
I never saw him. He never came to visit me. The only time I saw him was the day that I decided to go ahead and take the plea so I could go ahead and get on with my life and do whatever I needed to do.
So he didn't even really want to help you fight a case to find where you were possibly innocent at. And then the charge that you received, because you wasn't even nowhere in that element, were you charged with the aggravated or non-aggravated?
I was non-aggravated.
It was considered non-aggravated?
I was considered non-aggravated.
But the fact that he didn't even want to fight with knowing the facts for you, you had to just sell and take a plea.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought that out is because a lot of the times when we look at charges on the other side of prison reform, when you haven't been represented properly and you go into the system, when you come out, you deal with the consequences of that based on the prior. And so with dealing with when you're starting over and you're looking at resources that are supposed to be available afforded to those who are formerly incarcerated, what they call the ex-felons resource list, and sometimes they have the violent ex-offenders and the regular ex-offenders, and so some resources are not even available for those that are considered violent ex-offenders. So as I've shared before, mine is considered a violent ex-offender, and hers would be too, because the charge had a child involved. And we already know in Texas, you don't mess with old people, animals, and children. So anything attached to that makes things more intensified. But the sad part is that the representation was not in good place before you went in, and the same thing with you coming out, because now parole was supposed to release you to a better situation, making sure that it's a safe spot for you to go to and be able to report back to them. But you went to an address that wasn't even validated,
right,
and it's almost like you were set up for failure. And we talk about this pipeline to prison, how we know the industry sometimes is made to circulate us back and forth for them to keep their residual within the prison system, when you have like people like us trying to fight to lower recidivism and give people another chance for a life after their ex in anything that they've come through. But then when you were faced with all the things you had like back to back to back to back, that could be very discouraging. And so alongside, there was some things alongside your relationship with Christ, like maybe some connections that you may have made along the journey that kind of help keep you focused and in line to get to that point. And we're just going to tackle that one thing, then we're going to deep into more stuff that you kind of shared.
Okay. So really, when I came home, I didn't have nobody out here at all. Nobody. When I came home, I did not have, my family wasn't there. Nobody. I had to solely depend on what I knew to do.
What about your fall partner?
My fall partner, nope, nowhere to be found. I hadn't talked to him or anything like that. So just coming fresh out, you just off that bus, all I had was my chain bag and whatever I had in my chain bag with me. And once I got to the Salvation Army, thank God it was a bed available for me. And that's where I remained. So every day for a week, I will go and stand in that line when I got off work, make sure I'm there so I could have a bed every night.
So even though the system may fail you, there are some people that are in place, because you spoke about how your parole officer was a godsend, as well as a staff member that was at the Salvation Army location. But prior to getting to the Salvation Army, what about when you first got off the bus and you were standing there all alone?
When I first got off the bus, I was walking. I just started walking. And I was like, Lord, what am I going to do? So this guy seen me walking and he was like, hey, are you okay? You okay? And I was like, No, I need to use a phone. And I called Tina's mom because me and Tina were in the same prison together. We was in a God pod together. We were together that during that time before I came home. So we established a relationship, and then her mom established a relationship with me, so we were connected. So I called her mom, and her mom was like, well, oh my gosh, she was like, she didn't even know I was coming home. And at that time she was already out of town. She had something else going on, so she was nowhere near me to even help me. She was out of place. And and so this guy was like, well, her mom finally got on the phone with me, and she was like, who is that with you? And I was like, I don't even know him. It's just somebody that asked me, was I lost? Did I need help? He let me use the phone. And he was like, I can take her to the Salvation Army. I'll take her there. And Tina's mom was like, well, stay on the phone with me. And he was like, yeah, she could stay on the phone with you. He said, I promise I will take her right there. I'm not going to harm her. I'm not going to do anything to her. And he didn't. And he was my angel, because when he dropped me off, until this day, I have never seen that man no more. Tina and her mom have tried to call him, and it's like he never existed on this earth.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Nope. So it's like he got me to where I needed to be, where God needed me to be for me to be safe. Mm-hmm. So once that happened, I got me a job at a staffing agency. I was a banquet server, and I would go to work. I would walk from the Salvation Army all the way to the downtown to the Fort Worth Convention Center to go to work. And that's how I did until I got upstairs in the program. Once I got upstairs in the program, it did get easier for me because Miss Porter, the way the program worked, I had a safe place to be. Mm-hmm. They would give us bus tokens, bus cards, so I can get back and forth to work because I was already working. So it was a little easier for me because prior to me even getting into the program, I was already working and doing what I know I needed to be doing. So Miss Porter didn't really have a lot that entailed for me to do because I was already doing that coming in. Mm-hmm. And so my situation did get easier, but it still was not easy because remember, I'm gone for 13 and a half years. Everything that I'm seeing now was not here when I left. And I know nobody. So it's basically, I'm out here by myself, me and God, and I'm doing this. But I never wavered. I felt like I knew that if I could get through those first 3 days out, and I made it to that Monday, that I would be okay. I just had to get through that weekend when I came home, because I came home on a Friday. I was to report that Monday, but that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I had to rely on being at that Salvation Army and just doing what I needed to do.
Thank goodness that you were strong enough in your person, in your faith, mm-hmm. to know that there was a life for you. Getting past that small window, and also knowing that God will provide for mm-hmm. you, because mm-hmm. sometimes the system do drop the ball in all their best efforts to do the reform of helping people. They still drop the ball, but you dropped a lot of stuff in there. So we're gonna dig in a little bit deeper in that, but we're gonna take a small break, and we're gonna let some of our amazing sponsors come on and share about their products. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back shortly.
Hello, this is Najesti from Butter Me Essentials Natural Hair and Body Company. We are located in Brooklyn, New York. We are a family-owned company, which is run by my husband, Vaden, and I. Do you have hair that is hard to manage? Having trouble with hair growth? Is your skin always dry? No problem. Butter Me Essentials is here with the solution. We specialize in hair butters, pomades, hair elixirs, shampoos, conditioners, luxury soaps, body butters, lotion bars, perfumes, scrubs, and so much more. All of our products is made with natural and organic ingredients such as shea butter, cocoa butter, mango butter, Jamaican black castor oil, avocado oil, Oregon oil, and essential oils. There is no sulfates, petroleum, mineral oils, or parabens, just all natural goodness. If you would like to order our products, check out our website at buttermeessentials.com, buttermeessentials.com, or call 646 646-524-3351. 646-524-3351. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Remember, like our motto says, you deserve to be buttered.
Well, welcome back. Thank you, Butter Essentials. I tell you, every time I see that, I'm like, I want to go get an extra spa massage done. I just had my feet done, and honey, they was buttered up, honey. So thank you so much for sponsoring us for our show this evening. This is Life After the X, and I am Ty Washington, the Ex-Con expert. We're here every week to level the playing grounds. We're here at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on AAU Media. That is on all social handles: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also follow me on lifeafterthex.com if you want to find out more things that I'm doing. This evening, I have a wonderful friend and sister in Christ, Miss LaShauna Weaver here, and she's just kind of giving us, she's spilling the tea, honey, and letting us know about the system and how sometimes, even though at its best effort to want to help those, they really have a lot of seepage in it that needs room for improvement. And so we're just kind of sharing it in hopes that people will be in a listening ear, put it out there. It is the political season. It's time to make some changes, get some votes, some people in, and vote some people out. So we're hoping that they're here to hear the word from her, to encourage them to do better about the people, because again, we want to make sure we're lowering recidivism. And with the things that has happened in a story, sometimes when we have people reoffend, it's because of these very situations that happen, and people don't always make it out the way she did. So I know that's why she's here, to encourage those that there is a life after the X, and some of the things that she did to help persevere past that. And so you talked about how you had the great support after getting there, and some of the angels people that was in place, because of course parole let you down with some of the things that they said it was going to have in place from your housing, probably some of the resources that they were going to provide you with clothing and other things that the program promised to give you alongside your housing. That just fell through the balls. So you had to go to the Salvation Army. They had someone that could kind of at the ground level get you going. But after you got going, you got your job and got going, there were other things that were challenging for you. Tell us a little bit about that, like when getting your job, what the background checks look like, how long does it take to get a job? Did you get rejected on jobs? How did it make you feel? And what about when it comes to housing? Because I know you didn't stay there forever.
Right. So the job hunt was very hard, very difficult. Like I said, when I first came home, I started off at a temp service, but I knew that I needed a job that was going to have benefits and have resources to the things that I needed and I wanted. And of course, I wanted more for my life. I just didn't want to work at a temp agency the rest of my life. So I had Church's Chicken slam door in my face when they looked. Church's Chicken.
Oh, no, they need to hire
Church's Chicken. I remember going to the Church's Chicken that's on Camp Bowie Boulevard, right there on the corner. And she looked at my application and she saw where I had checked the box that I had been incarcerated. And she was like, no, thank you. We don't need help. We already filled the position. I'm like, but you have a now hiring still in your window. No, we don't need no help. We don't need no help. Okay. So
can I ask this? What race was she?
She was a white lady.
Okay. I'm just making an observation. Okay.
She was a white lady. And
not to say that none of us are not discriminative as well, but just an observation.
Yeah, but it was a white lady. And I will never forget that. And I was looking at her like, are you kidding me? Church's Chicken? Wow. Church's Chicken? Are you seriously paying minimum wage? Church's Chicken now. So I was just like, okay. So I kept beating the street, beating the path to try to find me a job. So I learned how to do what I needed to do online. So I ended up getting hired at Subway. And Subway hired me, the franchise did. I could not work for corporate property. It could only be a franchise property that I could work at because franchise don't worry about the background check and do all that, but corporate do. So I ended up getting with a Subway, and I ended up becoming a store manager for them. So I actually moved up, did what I needed to do, and I was good, but I still was not satisfied. I knew that it was something else more that I needed to be doing.
Right.
I wanted to go to school. I wanted to do all that. And mind you, I could not drive at this time. When I got incarcerated, I could not drive, and I still could not drive. I was a kid when I got incarcerated. So I did not know how to drive or nothing. So I'm still riding a bus or walking back and forth to work. So my next issue was me trying to get housing for myself. That housing, it's no good. It's no good because they say they will help you. They say second chance, but really they are not. It really has a lot to depend on the person that's looking at the application. And 9 times out of 10, they're not even looking at your application or sending it through once they see that you are a felon. They're throwing it away.
I'm gonna drop in there real quick because we're gonna unpack that a little bit. So a lot of times when you see an application, they'll say they're listed on a resource list at the parole or probation facility saying that they're offering second chance housing for those who are gainfully employed to be able to live on their property. So, but once you go, they have a discriminative way of saying that they don't want you on their property without saying they don't want you on their property. So I think it's very, very a shrewd way of doing it. I caught the observation of them saying it's all listed on the case by case. So say you go to a property and they say they're leasing to those that are formerly incarcerated, but then on the application they ask you how long ago since you've been incarcerated. Okay, so they can say the window between 0 to 99. Like who gonna be on parole for 99 years if they came home at 30 or 40 years old? I mean, honestly, where does that fit in at? And then if it's someone that you like, you can say, oh, it's just been home for 1 day. So to me, it appears that they can be very discriminative or very not clear when you're saying you're available for second chance.
It's a lot of gray areas.
It's a lot of gray area. And so therefore you're not able to really house the people that you're marketing to. Then why not even just get off the list? Because now you're taking people's hard-earned money through application fees. And honey, application fees are like $100 and something now.
They are.
I remember when it was like $20 and I'm thinking $120 for a piece of paper. I mean, I do backgrounds as the director of my organization, and I know that we have to do our due diligence, and I understand the process and the reason for certain things. You know, people want to protect their community, but then how do you really afford someone an opportunity to get that second chance and better start if you're so gray area on the application when you clearly say we're giving people another chance? So you go and you apply, and how long does it take?
It could take up to a day or a week. It depends. But most of the time, it didn't take that long for them to say, oh, no, unfortunately,
deny you and just keep your money.
Deny and keep the money, because a lot of the complexes I'm seeing now, they're not even giving, some of them don't even get a deposit back. They keep the application and your deposit. And I know I have lost a lot of money on apartment complexes. So it's very discouraging when you are making the money. I make $56,000 a year. I'm doing pretty good for somebody that's being incarcerated. Okay. And I make good every month. I make good money and everything. But when you don't have a place to stay, that can be a very discouraging thing to happen to you, because I mean, if you're not stable, if you don't know where you're laying your head, you're almost like, you know, what am I doing? And it's hard when you have the money, you have the job, but they don't give you that opportunity because you didn't have to check that box. And they don't even care to even hear what you are or what you have done. All they see is that check, and they don't give you a chance once they see that check.
And the sad part is that here's the thing. Most of the time, the complexes that they do have available, they're like in drug-infested neighborhoods or like low income. And I'm not being prejudiced to areas But I mean, if I'm got a nice car and a good job, and I've recovered from being sober from a drug or alcohol or bad areas, changing my people, places, and things, and then the only thing you have available for me is a drug infested complex that probably want to deny me too, but I'm paying all this money to live in an area and a complex is not even on a decent scale for regular good safe living. My car can get broken into, I can get raped and robbed. I mean, and that's the only thing they have available, and that's very discouraging as well, because when you've changed your life and you want to live in a more comfortable setting for yourself that's healthy for you, you want better options, but then the better options are very limited, or so they say. Is not by saying we do have available housing for second chance, housing for formerly incarcerated, but they take your application money and deny you and don't even give you a reason. And we're going to talk about what that looks like, because we've had an experience where you're going and you spending your money, you check a line, they don't even ask you about your whole situation. They sometimes they just see the check and don't even go any further, just call you back in 2 or 3 days like they really did something, don't even spend the money to do that background check, and just deny you. And that's really a sad thing.
It is just like with my situation. I relocated back out here from Houston. Previously I had left Dallas, Fort Worth area, went to Houston, was working at the La Meridian downtown there as a housekeeping director. So make a long story short, years passed, I'm back, relocated back out here now. I have a whole house right now that I pay rent on in Houston, a beautiful home, beautiful, in a nice area. You wouldn't even think, they wouldn't even, if they knew what my background was, they probably would not believe it, because the area is nice. Everything looks like it's supposed to look, okay? And I came out here to find out that I couldn't even get a decent apartment because nobody would accept me because of my background. So I was limited. So now I finally did get an apartment, but it is not where I wanted to live at. It's in Oak Cliff, I'm not saying, but it's not a good area that it's in. And I would have preferred not to live in an area like that. I would try to live, I'm single by myself. I want to be somewhere where I know I'm going to be safe. Here, it's, I don't know.
It's questionable.
It's questionable. Okay?
I mean, they got cameras. It's gated up.
It's gated up.
But that don't mean
it could be you gating up the people that need to be out. I mean, I'm just saying. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just what we're stuck with. And I don't feel like that's right for them to do that. Especially, I'm 45 now. My case is over 20 years old. Are you kidding me? I was a whole kid when I caught that charge. They, instead of looking at what the charge is, look how long ago it was. Because they can see all that. They can see what it was, how long ago it was. They even know if you did parole on there or if you got off on it. They know all of that information. So why do you steady hold that over people that you see are trying to do what they need to do?
Clearly, look at your life now. Now, they can see all that and how long ago it has been, but think about what all the great things you have done and pivoted and stayed focused to persevere through to even get to where you are and still accomplishing things in what you're doing. Let's look at some of that. I mean, when you're checking someone's background, you would want to think that you want to look at what they're doing currently too. You don't want to look at just what they've done only as a stronger big percent. You're looking at what they're doing. And so with your situation, I mean, you've came back home. You've persevered through being homeless after the system failed, dropped the ball on you. After the system already put you in there without really giving you a fair case in a trial for your rights. Then you get home and then you try to find a job. They're discriminating you at the corner hood Church's Chicken. Then you try to find a complex and they take your money over and over again. So you've pushed through all of those rejectional moments that would have discouraged and caused anyone to go back, possibly to doing anything that's not probably very positive, but you stay focused. You went to school during this time and got your degree and working on your next degree. And then you persevered on to become a director. Now, listen, people just don't give you directorship. Just they don't pass those out like they do CNAs. You know, they
Right.
don't pass that out like they do the stockers in the store. You have to have shown some credentials to become a director over a department. Why not look at some of that more so than just all the background? Because they looked at your background and clearly, even where you just recently applied to live, they were going to possibly deny
me.
you,
They was.
despite your income is way above the standard person who
Right.
even live in this community.
Right.
The report
because the community accepts Section 8 assistance, and I don't get that. They will laugh me to scorn if I went in there to ask them, can I get some Section 8?
Access denied.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll make way more than what them people make over there, probably in months, my one check. But they was gonna deny me. But it took me and Tina being persistent, calling them. So finally Tina was like, well, what is going on? What is the problem? And she got to the bottom of it. So she spoke on my behalf. And that's how they really got acquainted and to really know me. Now that I'm in there, they loving that I'm up in there. You know, when I call them now, they like, oh, hey, girl, yes, everything's ready for you. It's all good. It's a totally different vibe. But why do we even have to go through all that? How many people have somebody to speak on their behalf? Correct. A lot of people don't have that.
Right.
You know, so why should we, as a people that's coming out, trying to do better for ourselves, why do we have to go through this, get our money took, even though we're working hard like everybody else? We need a fair chance like everybody else. They say second chance. Well, give us that. Quit throwing our background up, because guess what? Unfortunately, that's never going to go away.
Absolutely.
To the day I die, that will be there unless I get it closed. But who got that type of money to do that?
But here's the deal. Even if you close your seal, say you seal your background for your felony, right? But now we're going to talk a little bit about where you are now, and you know, you got the housing and stuff, and we're going to move forward because we're going to look into getting a home, honey. We're going to buy a brand new home because they don't do backgrounds on criminals. They just want you to be a homeowner so they can get some revenues. Okay, but in journey to becoming a homeowner, coming from now getting an apartment through the scrutiny of the background process, you are going to be writing your book, and in the journey of writing your book, you're going to be sharing some of that. And so say you tell your story and people's like, oh, she went to prison too still. And people have this thing of thinking that just because someone has been to prison don't make people. Prison don't make people. It's the people have made choices that made them who they are. The prison does not, because you've clearly heard how she went in. It was already from a traumatic thing, but she chose to make decisions to change her life, and she's been staying on that path of being an exceptional citizen in anybody's community. Just like this complex, they was telling me that they wanted to improve their community, and I was like, okay, well, she would change the whole face of your community, because what I see standing out here now don't look like what you look like you say you want to have over there. But nevertheless, you're going to be having a book that's going to come out, and of course, we're going to want to have you come back after you do your book. So tell us the name of your book and what it's kind of a little bit of what it's about, and then we're going to take another break after that.
So the name of my book is My Life, My Story, My Pain: Secret Memoirs of LaShauna Weaver. And I chose to write a book because I know that my life is supposed to be used for a better purpose. Yeah, the pain and stuff I went through, that can probably help somebody else. Somebody else reading my story and knowing what I went through, they can probably look at themselves and be like, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Yes, indeed.
Because encouragement comes from all sorts of avenues. You know, and you just never know how you impact a person. And, you know, on a daily basis, we impact people that we don't even know.
Right.
You know, we just don't know who we come across. But I believe that my story will help somebody. I'm still in the early process of it. I don't know if I want to just have it as a full out book or if I'm going to just do memoirs. I don't know yet. It's still early in it. I've already got some things wrote down. You know, I'm old school, so I write everything by hand. But I do know that it's going to be done, and it needs to be done. I know that's something that I need to be doing because I know God blessed me with the gift of writing, and I have always excelled in writing. So I should be doing something with that. And so that's why I wanted to do it, because I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences. People look at me now and they be like, "Oh, she's this, is that," but when they find out the backstory, they like, "What?" Thank God I don't look like what I've been through.
Come on now. That's why we got you on Life After the X. So you can tell them about that.
Thank God, because if I look like what I've been through, I probably would be dead right now. I'm just saying, because from out the womb, I felt like my life was already set up to fail. I feel like the devil already had purpose to take me out of here, out the womb, out my mama's womb. Because as long as I can remember, even as a little girl, I remember encountering things that I should have never encountered. And I used to always wonder, why is this happening to me? And this is me as a little kid, not even knowing, but even at that young age, I knew that something was not right. It was just not, this is not what things should be like. So now that I'm older and I have a brighter purpose for myself, I can see things better than what they was when I went in. Because of course, when I went through all that traumatic stuff, I didn't like nobody. I didn't, and I'm just learning and getting to the point where I do trust people. Now it's been a long process for me to get to where I am right now. And Tina, she can vouch for all that, because she saw me at my worst. And I am nothing like I was. And my mental capacity is nothing like it was. I just didn't have any hope. I just felt like I was going to die in prison. I had honestly got to the point where I didn't even think about going home no more. What for? I ain't going nowhere. I'll be here until I parole out. I'll be my age now. Almost my age now.
Wow.
2018, I would have did my full time if I wouldn't have went home in 2013. And I never thought that I was going to make parole. I just thought I was going to be stuck there. I was like, these people ain't letting me go nowhere. So guess what? I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do what I do up in this prison. This is my life. And I started just thinking about what I did on a daily basis in there. And that was it. I stopped thinking about the world. And when I stopped thinking about the world, it seemed like that's when the world started coming to me, and things started happening and everything. So do I regret things that happened in my life? I used to, but looking at a bigger picture now, I know that everything is for a purpose. And I know that although the stuff I went through was very traumatic, I'm still here to talk about it.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't make it. I saw a lot of people that did not make it on this road. So from growing up, being molested, raped, passed around by the men in my family, my own father raped me when I was 9 years old. He would pass me around to my brothers and to anybody that he could. And I grew up just knowing that I'm just nothing but a piece of meat to men. That's it. I never thought that I would have a husband. I would meet anybody. I would be anything but what I was happening to me. So once you start having things like that happen to you, you just accept it and go on, because you think that's all you're going to have. And even my mom, when she found out what was going on, she blamed me for it. She said it was my fault. I was the reason why we lost the house and he got in prison and all that, and that's very hurtful coming from your own mother to tell you that it's your fault that your father laid with you when you was a child, a 9-year-old child. And needless to say, me and my mom, my family, we don't have a relationship. I'm really just out here by myself without a family, but Tina has took me in. Her mom, you can't tell her that I'm not her child.
Ooh, I'm trying to share.
So I have gained a family, even though I don't have my own family. And it's okay. I'm learning how to deal with things. I'm learning how to get through things and past things. And I'm just waiting to see what the next chapter of my life is going to be. But it's not over yet, because this book is going to have many more chapters and many more pieces that go to it.
Amen, honey. That's gonna be a deep book, honey. Honey, we're gonna bring you back over here when you have that book come on out, whenever you get it together and finalized, because we want the right time when you
Right.
get ready to do it. And we don't know what God really wants else for you to share, but we know that whatever you put inside of it is gonna be blessed and help
Mhm.
so many people be encouraged. Because I know you have some things to share about, like the levels about mental health,
Mhm.
coming from that traumatic stuff as a child, and the rejection alongside that,
Mhm.
going into that relationship, and then being falsely accused of some things that you didn't even have no
Mhm.
attachment to, going into the prison system and experiencing the stuff like witnessing people just killing themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot for
Yeah.
someone who ain't been through nothing. But to
Yeah,
go
I
through
saw
something.
people hang and do all kinds of things to themselves in there because they were tired and they
Yeah.
felt like it was no other way
No
out
other
but
way.
that way. And
Yeah.
that's the road they chose.
Right.
So it's hurtful that us women in prison are overlooked a whole lot. I
Mhm.
mean, we don't have people coming in to see us, and it's hard. It's hard because women, we're naturally nurturers, but no one is coming to do that for us. No one is coming to see about our well-being,
Right.
about our mental health, and it's a very serious thing in there.
Yeah. So we got to do better as a system, as a world. We just need to do better. So I'm so glad you came here to share a little bit. We are going to take another small break. We're going to come back and we're going to share a tip and a last word that you would like to share with everyone, that would encourage them based on what you've gone through, that you know that pulled you through to the other side. So thank you. Hang on with us for just a few more minutes and we'll be back shortly.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444, extension 1, and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio. You're listening.
Welcome back, and thanks for hanging out with us this evening. This is Life After the X, and I am Ty Washington, the X-Con expert. We are here on All About Us Radio, and you can find us on AAU Media. That is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me in some of the things that I'm connected to through lifeafterthex.com and all the social medias across the board. This evening, we're just talking about prison reform, just an extension of what it looks like, because most people think that it's just about life after when you get out, but it's life before, during, and after, and what that looks like from someone who has persevered and lived through what that looks like, and having a life after that experience, and coming here and willing to share, to encourage with someone else. So again, Miss Lashana, thank you so much for hanging out with us and giving us some of your story. We look forward to having you come back one day when your book comes out. But we want to talk about, listen, y'all know I got my tea this evening, right? Now, I can't tell y'all what I'm sipping, but I'm going to tell you it's more like a chai. It's kind of cold in Texas today.
Very
so I got
cold.
a chai working on my behalf, because usually I got some lemon ginseng something, but I need something a little bit thicker and warmer today. So I got my tea that I'm kind of hanging out with. But Miss LaShawn is going to share with us a tip that's going to empower you, as well as give us a nice closing remark of something that she just want to lastly say to our audience.
So if I could say anything to help anybody with what helped me to get through, was to stay focused. I know that's easier said than done, but when you have your mind set to do something, you shouldn't let anything or anybody come and mess that up for you. Stay focused, whatever that may be for you. For me, it was me just having them blinders on, knowing that I need to go to work every day. I knowing that I'm the only one that's taking care of me. Because when you know it's just you and you all you got, that's what you have to do. And I persevered. When one door closed, I kept going. I did not stop. I did not let nothing stop me until I got what I wanted. And I'm still persevering through things. It has not been easy. This is not an easy life for you. Even if you haven't been incarcerated, it's not an easy life. Life happens. I mean, it is what it is. But it's on how you deal with it in the process, on how you come out at the end.
That's it.
So all I could say is just stay focused, trust God, pray, and don't look back. Because when you start looking back, that's when things can go wrong. Just like in the Bible with Lot's wife.
Oh, girl, you done got deep on us. Come on.
She was supposed to keep going with him. But what did she do? She looked back. And once she looked back, she could not go forward.
Couldn't go forward.
And that's how it is with us at the same time. You have to keep your eyes forward. Don't look back at what the things that you think you're losing, because those things is in the past for a reason. They need to be put out. And that's where they need to stay. Like you take the trash out, most of the stuff that negatively that impacted us in our past, it's like trash. It needs to go out and stay out. And don't let that come back in. And so that's the only thing that I could say to tell you. Keep your eyes focused in front of you. Don't look to the side, the left, the right, and back. Keep your eyes forward on what you need to do. If you do that, you will persevere and you will make it. And I know that that's how I made it. And I'm still looking forward. Do I get scared sometimes? Yes. Sometimes I had it when I couldn't get a place. I got in a real bad place. And I called my sister though. You know, I had somebody that I knew that I could talk to, and that's going to pray with me and is going to pray for that situation. And that's what you need to do. Don't go to nobody that's just going to give you what you want to hear. No, she didn't sugarcoat Eric. She was like, okay, LaShauna, you know, you in this spot, but guess what? You're going to get through this. I don't care. You're going to get through this, and we're going to get through this. You're not by yourself, because I was so depressed. I was like, Lord, I know you don't have me out here to be homeless. You did not give me this good job and let me know this is where I'm supposed to be for me to be out here and not have nowhere to stay. I just could not believe it. My mind just did not wrap around that. And so I kept seeking. I kept going, even though the people were saying, no. I was like, somebody is going to let me in their apartments. Y'all going to give me a place to stay.
Come on now.
I got the money to take care of it. I got the job backing me up. You going to give me a place to stay. And then once I determined that I wasn't going to give up, that's when I started pushing. And me and Tina got together, and she was like, you know what we're going to do? Tomorrow, we're going to call them people. I'm going to call them and talk to them. And I'm going to speak on your behalf. She asked her permission to do that. I told her yes. I had no problem. And they end up calling me with me connected on the line with them. And then here we are now. I move in on the 25th.
Come on now.
Is it where I want to be? No. But obviously it's where God wants me to be right now. So it is what it is. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make it a home. Just like my house that I have in Houston, I will make this my home too. And moving forward, after my lease is up here, then I will have me another house out here. That will be mine. And I won't have to worry about going through background and doing all that no more. I can have what's mine. And then moving forward, just making sure that I stay connected to the inside, because they need to know that it's life out here. They need to know that it's definitely life out here, and that you can make it. Yes. A lot of people don't get to know that, hey, you can really make it out here.
That's right.
And you can, because I have. I've been home since 2013. And each year I persevere and I do more, and it gets greater. So just stay focused.
Focus. That's the
Don't
word.
look back.
Don't look back. Stay focused, honey. That's going to be the word for the week. Stay focused, persevere, keep your eyes on the prize, because again, looking back can trip you up.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Oh
You're
my God,
welcome.
you have really shed some light on a lot of situations that people really don't know, because a lot of people just don't feel comfortable with sharing. So I thank you for being able to be transparent with sharing in real time what's happening with the system when it comes to prison reform as a whole, and especially for women, and especially in Texas.
Mhm.
So again, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Life After the X. Again, I'm Ty Washington, Ex-Con Expert. We're here every Thursday for the next few months here at Leveling the Playing Ground, because it's all about your perspective. We want to tackle the topics that are just tough at times for people that want to get the truth. But we're going to spill the tea over here with Life After the X, and we're going to let you know what's really going down around the Metroplex. Also, we're here bringing on new guests. So if you would like to be a guest on our show, please message us via email. You can hit me up through Life After the X, or you can go to All About Us Radio and AAU Media and say that I would like to be a guest and come on and talk about a certain topic. If you have a topic or a subject that you would like for us to discuss or bring to our show, please send that to us via email or in a comment on the drop down for this show as well. Remember that you are always able to make it. There is a life after the X. Remember, never allow anyone to X you out, because guess what? Any X will do. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. God bless you. Take care.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website, www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444, extension 1, and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio.